was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he couldn't because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed up a sycamore tree so that he could see Jesus, who was about to pass that way. When Jesus came to that spot, he looked up and said, "Zacchaeus, come down at once. I'm going to stay in your home today." So Zacchaeus came down at once, happy to welcome Jesus. Everyone who saw this grumbled, saying, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner." Zacchaeus stopped and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, I give half of my possessions to the poor. And if I have cheated anyone, I repay them 4 times as much." The Lord said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house because he too is a son of Abraham. The human one came to seek and to save the lost." After they listened to this, Jesus told them another parable because he was near Jerusalem and they thought God's kingdom would appear right away. He said, a certain man who was born into royalty went to a distant land to receive his kingdom and then return. He called together 10 servants and gave each of them money worth 4 months' wages. He said, "Do business with this until I return." His citizens hated him, so they sent a representative after him who said, "We don't want this man to be our king." After receiving his kingdom, he called the servants. He returned and called the servants to whom he had given the money to find out how much they had earned. The first servant came forward and said, "Your money has earned a return of 1,000%. The king replied, "Excellent. You're a good servant. Because you are faithful in a small matter, you will have authority over 10 cities." Another servant came and said, "Master, your money has made a return of 500%. To this one, the king said, "You'll have authority over 5 cities." Another servant came and said, "Master, here's your money. I wrapped it up in a scarf for safekeeping. I was afraid of you because you are a stern man. You withdraw what you haven't deposited and you harvest what you haven't planted." The king replied, "I will judge you by the words of your own mouth, you worthless servant. You know, did you, that I'm a stern man, withdrawing what I didn't deposit and harvesting what I didn't plant? Why then didn't you put my money in the bank? Then when I arrived, at least I could have gotten it back with interest." He said to his attendants, "Take his money and give it to the one who has 10 times as much." "But master," they said, "he already has 10 times as much." He said, I say to you that everyone who has will be given more, but from those who don't have, even what they have will be taken away. As for my enemies who don't want me as their king, bring them here and slaughter them before me." After Jesus said this, he continued on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. As Jesus approached Bethphage and Bethany on the Mount of Olives, he gave 2 disciples a task. He said, "Go into the village over there. When you enter it, you will find tied up there a colt that no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here. If someone asks, 'Why are you untying it?' just say, 'Its master needs it.'" Those who had been sent found exactly as he had said. As they were untying the colt, its owner said to them, "Why are you untying the colt?" They replied, "Its master needs it." They brought it to Jesus, threw their clothes on the colt, and lifted Jesus onto it. As Jesus rode along, they spread their clothes on the road. As Jesus approached the road leading down from the Mount of Olives, the whole throng of his disciples began rejoicing. They praised God with a loud voice because of all the mighty things they had seen. They said, "Blessings on the King who comes in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest heavens." Some of the Pharisees from the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, scold your disciples. Tell them to stop." He answered, "I tell you, if they were silent, the stones would shout." As Jesus approached the road leading down from the Mount of Olives, as Jesus came to the city and observed it, he wept over it. He said, "If only you knew on this of all days the things that lead to peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. The time will come when your enemies will build fortifications around you, encircle you, and attack you from all sides. They will crush you completely, you and the people within you. They won't leave one stone on top of another within you because you didn't recognize the time of your gracious visit from God." When Jesus entered the temple, he threw out those who were selling things there. He said to them, "It's written, 'My house will be a house of prayer,' but you have made it a hideout for crooks." Jesus was teaching daily in the temple. The chief priests, the legal experts, and the foremost leaders among the people were looking for a way to kill him. However, they couldn't find a way to do it because all the people were enthralled with what they heard. On one of the days when Jesus was teaching the people in the temple and proclaiming the good news, the chief priests, elders, and legal experts approached him. They said, "Tell us, what kind of authority do you have for doing these things? Who gave you this authority?" He replied, "I have a question for you. John's baptism origin?" They discussed among themselves. "If we say it's of heavenly origin, they'll say, 'Why didn't you believe him?' But if we say it's of human origin, all the people will stone us to death because they are convinced that John was a prophet." They answered that they didn't know where it came from. Then Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you what kind of authority I have for doing these things." He has told the people this parable. A certain man planted a vineyard, rented it to tenant farmers, and went on a trip for a long time. When it was time, he sent a servant to collect from the tenants his share of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants sent him away beaten and empty-handed. The man sent another servant, but they beat him, treated him disgracefully, and sent him away empty-handed as well. He sent a third servant. They wounded this servant and threw him out. The owner of the vineyard said, "What will I do? I'll send my son, whom I dearly love. I love dearly. Perhaps they will respect him." But when they saw him, they said to each other, "This is the heir. Let's kill him so the inheritance will be ours." They threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. When the people heard this, they said, "May this never happen." Staring at them, Jesus said, "Then what is the meaning of this text of Scripture? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Everyone who falls on that stone will be crushed, and the stone will crush the person it falls on." The legal experts and chief priests wanted to arrest Jesus right then because they knew he had told the parable against them, but they feared the people. The legal experts and chief priests were watching Jesus closely and sent spies who pretended to be sincere. They wanted to trap him in his words so they could hand him over to the jurisdiction and authority of the governor. They said to him, "Teacher, we know that you're correct in what you say and teach. You don't show favoritism, but teach God's way as it really is. Does the law allow people to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" Since Jesus recognized their deception, he said to them, "Show me a coin. Whose image and inscription does it have on it?" "Caesar's," they replied. He said to them, "Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God." They couldn't trap him in his words in front of the people. Astonished by his answer, they were speechless. Some Sadducees, who deny that there's a resurrection, came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies leaving a widow but no children, the brother must marry the widow and raise up children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first man married a woman and died childless. The second and then the third brother married her. Eventually, all 7 married her, and they all died without leaving any children. Finally, the woman died too. In the resurrection, whose wife will she be? All 7 were married to her." Jesus said to them, "People who belong to this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are considered worthy to participate in that age, that is, in the age of the resurrection of the dead, won't marry nor be given in marriage. They can no longer die because they are like angels and are God's children, since they share in the resurrection." Even Moses demonstrates that the dead are raised. In the passage about the bush, when he speaks of the Lord as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, he is not the God of the dead, but of the living. To him they are all alive. Some of the legal experts responded, "Teacher, you have answered well." No one dared to ask him anything else. Jesus said to them, "Why did they say that the Christ is David's son? David himself says in the scroll of the Psalms, 'The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right side until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet.' Since David calls him Lord, how can he be David's son?" In the presence of all the people, Jesus said to his disciples, "Watch out for the legal experts. They like to walk around in long robes. They love being greeted with honor in the markets. They long for the places of honor in the synagogues and at banquets. They are the ones who cheat widows out of their homes and to show